Okay, so what is the first statement that we start with in maximum? Excuse me. RM list equals LH clears the environment. Good practice always. What just happened? So just like we did a function in Maxwell, I'm going to show you how to create a function in R. We have seen functions already. Things revolve around functions. By all means, Rm is a function. Ls is a function. Set class is a function. So start with a simple function. Going to define my sum. You can use equal sign or you can use arrow. I'm going to go with arrow. In order to create a function in R, you need the word function, open paren, close paren. And then you specify arguments. First, X, that would be my input list. You can specify a default value for the list. Specifying a default value is required in some cases, but here I'm not going to define. I've used set brackets instead of open paren and close paren. So parentheses in maximum, set brackets in R. Inside the function, I am going to create S, the variable, sum, which is a built-in function to sum all the values of X. You don't have to specify start, you don't have to specify end, nothing. It'll just sum everything. I'm going to use the function return S. If you don't return, R is not going to get the value back from the function call. I'm going to add in a statement to print. What function do we use to combine strings? C. Paste. The sum is S. Oops, S. Good. Source. Now, once you run it, you should see the function in your environment. Mind you, when you define a function, that function has a local scope in the sense when you run it, it is going to be in the environment. Once you close and start another program, if your environment changes, the function is going to be gone. So I'll show you how to create functions and save them in separate files and call it from that separate file later. So I am going to do my underscore sum. Want to specify a list. How do we specify a simple list in R? C. I'll do 1, 2, 4, no, 3, 8, 7, 1. There are two other arguments, A and B, which I'm not going to use in this case. I'm just going to leave it as is. It still runs. It doesn't care for the other two arguments, whether you specify it or not. It has no use in here. Now, it printed the sum is 22, but it did return a value, but I did not capture the value that was returned. So if I define a variable, let's say uppercase S, save the name of the function to S, whatever value that you return will be saved in S. So source S will have the value 22. Good. So X is 2. I've defined it already. If X is greater than 1, going to print tacos are good. Else if X is greater than 3, how about greater than 0? Burritos are good. Else print nachos are good. Tacos are good. So let's see. If I run the script, I get the sum function, which evaluated gave me the sum is 22. X is greater than 1. That condition is true. So the moment it hits that true condition, it will not go further, even though the next condition is also true. So X is greater than 0. So an if-else statement will keep on going only if you or until you encounter a true statement. Does that make sense? So here the very first statement is true, so it prints and it stops. So all I want to do here is modify the code MySum so that it returns only if A is less than or equal to B. Otherwise, it prints I return nothing. So I'm just going to copy the function that I already have. Make minor changes. If you recall earlier, I didn't make use of A and B. Even though I had them as arguments, it didn't care because I didn't use them. You could have passed values to A and B, it still would not have mattered because there was no use. First, I have to define the if statement. If A is less than or equal to B, I have to sum, print, return. So I take all of those statements and put it inside the body of if. Yes. If that condition fails, automatically it means A is bigger than B. So I can simply put else, print, I return nothing. Yes. Like, give it a name, my sum underscore AB. So I now have my underscore sum underscore AB in my environments right there. So my underscore sum underscore AB going to specify a list that would be for X. You can simply start typing the list in the num list, or you can be very specific. By specific, I mean being OCD. You can say the value of X is the list 1 and minus 1. The value of A is 4. The value of B is 2. Is A less than or equal to 2? Is it? A is 4, B is 2. Is A less than or equal to 2? No. So it should print, I return nothing. Still, I'm going to try and save the value of the function to S. Let's see what happens. Says I return nothing. Whatever print statement that you have got stored to S. Does that make sense? Let's switch it and see if it gives us the sum. The sum in this case has to be 0. The sum is 0. So if you want to be very particular, you can specify it this way. It's good practice when you're trying to explain it to someone, but when you're just doing it for some purpose of your own, I just simply type in the values. I won't be as specific. But this is very illustrative. It explains things clearly for someone who is reading your code. Does that make sense? Yes.